the secret files of Teletraan 2.
Hello everyone, and it's time to talk comics. And yes, some people are going to say, this is late, and we're just like, we can't make a show when the books aren't out. We're not transmissions.
Oh, I made the joke. I wanted to do the joke.
No, they suck. They suck and they know it. Chris does suck. Chris shows up there sometimes. He sucks. Charles sucks. Jeremy sucks. Daryl sucks. Yoshi sucks. Russian Yoshi especially sucks.
God damn.
That editor guy, Mike, he sucks.
Some fucking mad shade being thrown down from Mikey's end.
Chris sucks. I just wanted to re-emphasize that. Yeah, guys, we're here again to talk comics.
Not trash.
Yes. We could talk about trash. I have a bin somewhere.
Yeah.
No. Also, movie of utter trash is coming in the coming months, and I'm very excited.
What trash movie are you talking about?
The trashiest of trash, Andy. The trash from across the seas.
Sonic?
No, better. The trash we love.
I can only think of like Godzilla coming out. That I can.
Waifu. Trash waifu.
Oh, you mean a Japanese release? Okay, I thought you meant like cinemas, like you can go and see in the cinema. We can't.
Oh
see
my god!
Konosuba in the cinema.
If we could see Konosuba in the cinema, I would be there today.
People would be fighting each other. They'd be like, "Who's the best girl?" And they're like, "Nope, Ness, nope, yes."
No. Who's the best girl? Just here at the back. They're all trash.
And everybody sits down. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's why we love them. I still have to check out the Chibi Quartet thing. I'm curious about it.
Is that the one where all of the isekai series cross over? I hear it's kind of generic.
Yeah, I saw a clip though, and it was Aqua being murdered by a frog. So I'm just like, okay, there's at least seen the shows.
Yes, that's good.
But yeah, we're not here to talk about trash, the best kind of trash. We're here to talk about Transformers comics. So we're talking about issues 3 and 4 of the new series. And then if you're around Patreon, we have a quick, not overview, quick discussion of Star Trek V, a good book that's got very little to say about it, and GoBots, I Want to Die. And then we're going to talk about Atomic Robo as a palliative, I believe the term is.
I was going to say that's your cure. That's your way of coming back from the breach of death, or the brink of death.
So yeah, first up we have Transformers issue 3, written by Brian Ruckley, art by Angel Hernandez and Cache Whitman. And so this opens up with Orion and his team watching as Megatron broadcasts across all of Cybertron about how the Senate and the Autobots are losing control in the wake of Brainstorm's death, which I thought was a secret, but apparently isn't. And Megatron reveals his new sort of like Ascenticon Guard, volunteers who will act to sort of handle potential threats. And it's Alita, Skythread, Refractor. I'm going to call them Skythread and Refractor. Who else is in that?
There's only one more.
And Quake.
Yeah.
Quake, who...
Oh, shit, man, that's Quake.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, Chromia flips out when she sees Quake. And so does Quake is basically the core focus of this book.
It's weird.
It's weird. We're going to talk about it in a bit, but
yeah.
Weird. Anyway, they head out to a Senate meeting. Prowl and Chromia lay out their findings to PAX. They've gotten the Rise in custody, but they don't know what's going on. None of the high members in the group don't know. Like the fact that the leadership is going underground for the Rise is kind of screaming they did it. So who knows? But the conversation is interrupted very surprisingly by Freud, of all people, who is like, Quake's over there, fucking Quake. And then we get Quake's backstory about how he was in a war, the war against the Threefold Spark. He's a sociopath who enjoys violence, and he can't really handle peacetime. He's been going to Freud for therapy, and nothing good is really coming of it. Orion is telling Freud that he needs to calm the fuck down. He'll investigate it, but yeah. And then after they're out of earshot, he reminds everyone that they need to solve Brainstorm's murder soon. There's also sort of a thing here that's like discussing letting Freud talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who. But Foreshadowing. If it was Whirl, I'd laugh my ass off.
It's Huffer. Dangerous man, Huffer.
I'd say Gears, but he's off being a chair somewhere. So yeah, Chromia prepares to have a sweep of the Energon transmission station for clues. Prowl is going to continue investigating the Voins in case they had something to do with it after Windblade met one. But he's saying the highly individualistic nature of the species has impeded his inquiries. Don't know what that means.
They all look the same, so it's hard to find the right one.
But it's individualistic, so they should like stand the fuck out, shouldn't they?
Well, they all have just like, I'm pretty sure it was either in this issue or the next issue. They say that the only way you can tell a Voin apart is by their slave monkeys.
Yeah, who all look the same to me. Sorry to be that guy. But,
oh!
Well, it turns out the Senate head Sentinel Prime, I bet he's a lovely chap, is off-world, and Cybertron is now sort of caught between a paralyzed Senate and the Ascenticon sympathizers. Orion takes over, tells Ironhide to keep Sentinel updated as the situation goes, and then Ironhide points out that the remarkable luck of the Rally Crashers, who basically not only slipped away and they attacked Megatron with the equivalent of pea shooters and lived. And Orion's just like, yeah. Meanwhile, on a testing track, Rubble is supposed to be learning about alt modes and testing things out. He watches as Bumblebee basically turns into a beetle. And he's, because it's Rubble, he's very quickly distracted by the wing moon as it's harvesting Energon. Bumblebee decides to approach the topic from another perspective, drawing Rubble's attention to a Cybertronian who is very big. Rubble assumes it's a Titan, but it's not. It's a female transformer called Leviathan. She spends her time in her alt mode traversing Cybertron, collecting ore and minerals from the surface, which is then converted into Sentio Metallico so that the Transformers can be born, basically. She is kind of a midwife, if you will. Bumblebee then tries to get Rubble back on task and asks him if he wants to scan any of the vehicle modes in the area for sort of, practice, which I think is an interesting idea. And then B realizes that once again Rubble is distracted as Wheeljack has inspired him. Bumblebee promises next time they visit Wheeljack, they'll take the tether all the way to the moon. But Rubble doesn't have time to give an answer when Windblade comes in and saying that he's needed at the Senate. She'll take Rubble home, and Bumblebee tells him that keep the private channel open if they want to talk. So the streets, as they head away along the streets, Rubble talks to Windblade that he's worried that Bumblebee's disappointed in him. Windblade says, no. With the Nominus Edict, the amount of Cybertronians born is very limited. Newborn ones like Rubble are a rare sight, and Bumblebee is just really, really happy to have, the honor of being a mentor. What the problem right now is that shit has gone down. They're not used to dealing with this stuff, and it's been a long time since anyone worried about violent death. When they get to Rubble's apartment, Chromia and her consultant Geomotus is there. Geomotus does not like you standing in front of his shapes. And then we get sort of a rundown of that Geomotus takes a lot of comfort in the geometric blocks he owns. And then Windblade and Chromia explain that he is another one of Freud's clients, a neurodivergent bot whose knowledge of geology lets him pick up stuff that other people might miss. And he helps the police occasionally. But he doesn't like being around Prowl. Welcome to the club. Chromia knows they're short-staffed. She's bringing Windblade in on the investigation, and they're hoping between Windblade, Geomotus, and Chromia they can find something. They link Rubble up to Communicator up to Windblade and Chromia, just so he has someone to talk to, and yeah, they're done. Once they're out, Windblade pointedly asks if there's a tracker in the Communicator, and Chromia says yes, and says we're only going to track him if we need to. And basically, she thinks Rubble is innocent, and right now they have no clue what's going on, so can they really let anyone off the hook? That night, Orion heads out on his own into a barren part of the world where Cybertronians are fusing with the planet, and he walks into a very big door and goes up to face Codexa, a Cybertronian who is being absorbed into the planet, and tells her they need to talk. So clearly she's not completely out of it. Andy.
Yes.
First we'll talk the art.
Okay.
Has it improved?
No.
Has it gotten worse?
In some places, it feels like it has.
Explain.
Well, for me specifically, is it the same two artists that we had before?
Yes.
Then what happened with the whole flashback to Quake? Was that the coloring that really wigged that out? Because that was pretty bad.
I don't know.
But then again, the whole pages leading up to that were pretty bad, with Prime's head just
That's
fluctuating.
Hernandez, I think.
Yeah.
Because Hernandez tends to have less on model work, and Whitman did the opening pages.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they weren't. They weren't for me. The constantly changing shapes of Prime's face and his head structure and everything were really off-putting. Also found it weird that we've had redesigns for like most characters, and then we have IDW Freud just kind of walk in with a completely similar design and look to how he was before, which I was like, well, why didn't you redesign Freud?
Why isn't he full of holes?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know. Well, was there any specific things that you saw in the artwork that you didn't say last time? Because I think it's the same complaints I had previously. It's just a continuation of it.
I still think Whitman's definitely the better of the two. Mm-hmm. And I also think their work really goes way better with Joanna's coloring.
Yes.
I think Optimus is really shocking in a way, because up until now we've only seen him with Whitman's style.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're seeing him with Hernandez's, and it's like, okay, that's distracting. One thing I'm a little disappointed in is Leviathan. Her design is pretty simple.
Yeah, are we assuming that might be Triptychon in the future?
Maybe. Girl Triptychon, I'd be up for that.
It wouldn't make a difference. Giant T-Rex thing is just happens to be a girl.
We had Ultimate Daddy, now we get Ultimate Mommy. Yeah. Geomotus's design is probably Geomotus and Rubble definitely work best with Hernandez's style.
Yes, you can. I think Geomotus, although it doesn't look like a Transformer, it looks way more like a GoBot. Yeah, a lot more like a GoBot that doesn't really fit in with the rest of the Transformers aesthetics, I would say. I would say that it looks better than anything else that they're drawing, because it doesn't have to worry about a face, and conveying emotion. It's just that's the shape of the robot, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's also something interesting. Kill the Killers. What is it? Kill the Killers. Kill the Killers. Debt to HU.
Yeah, I tried to read that as well while I looked at the comic, and I was just like, what?
But that raises a question. So we've talked about the art. Since there's not much else to add.
No.
Yeah. What do you think of the story? The word I would use is decompressed.
I'm gonna throw out slow again. Very slow. Very slow. There's writing for the trade, and then there's we are writing for the trade. This is like all the way trade writing. It's not an entertaining single issue. I think if you read this issue plus the previous two and the next one, that might be an okay first read of a comic.
Yeah.
Rather than what is it, bi-weekly, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than a bi-weekly, gap between each issue, which drags out the story even longer. It feels almost like a shonen anime where nothing really happens. People are talking, but not much is being said.
Yeah, I can kind of get that.
Yeah. And then when with Prime going into a big hole, and I'm like, okay, this isn't brought up in the next issue either.
No, that was weird. That's something, like, there's not much follow through between individual issues.
It doesn't feel like it, and I don't know why.
Do you know what? Because it's one ongoing. It really feels like it's being written as one story, not issues of a story.
Oh, it's again because it's the whole.
Because there's no comic, like, seeing Codexa isn't a thing when you have no idea who Codexa is. Like, if we'd seen what's her name, the one who came up with the Ascenticons, like, if she was the one he'd met. Since she's been mentioned several, Turcomax, since she's been mentioned several times, that would be a lot more of a hook, I think.
Yeah.
Codexa, I don't even, like, has she been name dropped even?
Maybe.
It's a weird, like, I'm very conflicted about this book, I have to admit. In general, like, not just, and this issue, is a good angle of it, because I really like the world building. I think the character writing is solid. I think the language works well, and these do not feel, for want of a better word, robotic. They like he said in the lead up he wanted to humanize characters, and I think we've got that, and I think
Sure.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I like the individual personalities that are coming across. I kind of just I'm kind of getting into how much Rubble is like interested in everything but what he's supposed to be doing.
You know what Rubble will become?
Father.
No. What's he looking at with a lot of reverence at the moment?
The moon.
Uh-huh.
Is he going to be the moon, Andy? Is he a werewolf?
No. I'm suggesting he's Unicron. It's like, oh, I could be a moon and I could like scoop up the energy for everybody, and they're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And then he's like,
I could be anything I wanted.
I'm gonna fucking eat you now. That's your twist.
There's just the pacing is the killer for this, because there's a lot of word bubbles, but as you say, not a lot is being said.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that this is going. And then there's about 2 pages dedicated to Quake.
Yeah.
Why?
I really, unless that pays off later down the line, that's a waste of time.
It feels really weird that Freud's just running up going like, oh my god, it's Quake.
And why Quake? Because the way they've built up Quake almost feels like not exactly the same. It's not one to one, but almost Overlordy.
Yeah.
Even choosing Quake, who has, if you take away the color and you just look at the head design, kind of Overlordy.
Yeah. Did they give him lips? Not really.
No.
The thing is, like, clearly this is touching again on the toy roster, but it's just like a weird guy to include.
Yeah, it's not even like they're selling Quake anymore in stores. If I remember, he was the one that
you can't actually go out and. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, for the most part, he was one who was on sale for the longest period of time, so it would have made sense to, catch on it then. But now he's been. What was he from? Was he Titan's Return?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been gone for a long time. Long time now.
Like, I don't object to them doing, like, if this is like, hey, Quake, we're going to do something interesting with him. We're going to give him a personality. We're going to build on that. I'm just like, one, it just seems like it's it's just weird that everyone's going like, holy shit, it's Quake.
Yeah.
Like, because the way it's structured is like the reader should also be going, holy shit, that's Quake.
Yeah.
Like, and also, we get his backstory all of a sudden. Quake doesn't say a word in this. Not a word. I also think it's weird that Brainstorm, like, everything was like, oh, we need to be kind of quiet about Brainstorm's death, and now it's public knowledge. I'm a little surprised.
Yeah, that's kind of came out of nowhere.
I've said this before, but I really feel this reads like a novel writer is writing this.
Yeah.
Like someone who writes books. Long 300, 400, 500 page books.
Do you think that's only because you know he is? Or do you think that's, if you didn't know that, you'd be able to tell?
I'm just flipping through and like the scene structure. The scenes are very long. Like, I'm just counting here, like Bumblebee and Rubble, a scene which has very little actually going on. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages of a 20-page book. That feels to me like someone's doing a couple of paragraphs or a mini chapter.
Yeah.
Like, I just see a book here. Like, I really want to read Rogue Trooper that he did and see if there's the same thing. Does it have that? Because I'm very curious about whether or not he's developed the ability to compress into a comic book format. Or is this just like, listen, I thought this would be a good way to write a big, long story, and I'm coming to the end of this arc. As I'm doing this arc, rather. Because I think this arc is only going to last another month or so.
So how many issues will that be, do you know?
2, I think.
Another 2?
Yeah.
Another 2 issues, and then this story's done.
Yeah, I suspect it's not necessarily. I suspect it's not necessarily, and we know who murdered Brainstorm.
Oh no! But even like, if that's the point, if that's the case, I don't know what the point of this opening arc will be, because it feels like the whole thing is like lead towards us finding out who Brainstorm's killer. Whether that is just the thing to kick off the Decepticons fighting each other, or at least you put the first stake into the ground to raising the flag of the Decepticons. I don't know, but I still don't. It doesn't feel like there's a, with the infiltration, it was very clear what was happening in the infiltration very quickly on, or very quickly as soon as you start reading those issues. You're like, okay, I know what the point of this book is. I don't feel I know what that is here.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to I'm not going to judge a 6 issue arc until the end of the arc rather. But I want to this feels like we really want to give a sense of the world, and I feel like the story is suffering because of it.
We're halfway through it.
Yeah,
Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, what would you give this issue then?
4. I'm fairly boring for myself. I'm still not hooked. Still not a fan of the artwork. Although you say the characters are nice, none of them are really hooking me. They all feel fine. None of the characters are bad. It's just I don't feel that they've done anything outside of what I would expect them to do anyway.
Yeah.
There's nothing exemplary about them. Exemplary? Whatever. However you say that.
Exemplar.
Thank you. It's just nothing's hitting me very hard at the moment. It's all just all right, this is another comic to read, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd say a 5. Because like I said, I'm liking a lot of I'm liking the talent on display here. I'm just not sure about the use and execution of that talent.
Right.
And the fact that I don't see a major improvement in the art.
Yeah.
Beyond competent in Whitman's case and iffy in Hernandez's case.
Yeah, very iffy.
And I've seen some people say they really like his style and how it's
That's
not
fine.
Regular and anything else, and that's fine, but it's just not for me.
Yeah.
But we may have something to say about art in the next one, Andy.
Will we, Mikey?
Yes, because zombie artists!
What do you mean, zombie artists, Mikey?
The next book, issue 4, written by Brian Ruckley, art by Sarah Pete-Duracher.
Woo!
Angel Hernandez. And Andrew Griffin. So, I do kind of like how Sarah and Andrew bookend this book. So, the story opens with Windblade, Chromia, and Giamotis out in the Badlands looking for evidence. And look, just trying to figure out what's going on, and then we realize that none of them really liked Brainstorm. No one has a story about Brainstorm they really want to tell. And the problem is that he didn't deserve to die the way he did, but meh. And then they see someone in the distance, and it turns out it's Cyclonus. And Chromia says, "Get after him." And Windblade's like, "Are you fucking joking?" But it's just don't fight him, just go. She lands on Cyclonus. He knocks her off, flips about, and is about to take her head off when Chromia collides into him. And they basically have to go "We're not actually trying to kill you. We just want to talk. We know you don't like the talking." And it turns out Cyclonus is something of a hermit living out in the middle of nowhere. And they're saying, "You're out here all the time. You must have seen something." He's not particularly open, but he says he saw Brainstorm go into the Energon transmission station not long before his death. Chromia isn't entirely sure what's going on. Maybe she suspects him and asks him to come back to Iacon. If he doesn't show up in one cycle, then the security operations are going to come back with reinforcements to get him. And I get the feeling that's a good luck with that, guys. And as they're leaving, Cyclonus hears some voices saying, "We're not going to the city. No, we're not. Shame, we liked Brainstorm. We should help them." And you see probably the most interesting panel so far.
Yeah.
Of Cyclonus walking away, surrounded by some sort of... Cyclonus was in the war, and I'm guessing this was his squad of some kind, but individuals who I really like the guy who's got half his body missing, and he's melting away.
So you assume these were victims of the war? See, I assumed that they were victims of whatever got Brainstorm.
Oh, that would be an interesting idea.
Yeah.
But depends, because to be blunt, I suspect Megatron got Brainstorm, but...
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. It just knowing what little we know about Cyclonus' background,
Yeah.
But yeah, by the way, Sarah's back, which is this is a real nice panel.
Yeah, it's nice, yeah.
Yeah, and Cyclonus is in the Combiner Wars body.
Yep.
Including Underkibble.
But does he have a Galvatron head inside him that talks to him?
Oh, please God, yes. But there's a few affectations to make you think of classic IDW Cyclonus. He's got really sallow cheeks and he's got claws.
Yeah.
But anyway, we switch to Iacon, And people are very surprised because there's been a second forging right after Rubble. And I was just like, this has never happened before. And they're all very, very, very excited. Oh my God, isn't it wonderful? And Rubble's kind of like, did this many people show out for me? What? Was I important? Just like,
No.
yes, Rubble. We were all very excited. It's just like, we didn't expect two. It's a female transformer. She's greeted by Orion and some guys I don't recognize, and Perceptor. One of which seems, going by her color scheme, I'm guessing she might be Moonracer.
Maybe.
Especially since Moonracer had a toy recently.
Oh, do you mean the robot with RC?
No, the little short blue one.
Oh, okay, the mentee, not the mentor.
I get the feeling that they all come out that size.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she's going to be assigned to RC and Greenlight, who are going to mentor. And this is kind of a big thing because, at least in sort of wider circles, because Ruckley said he was going to keep going with the LGBT relationships in Transformers, and the first one would be hinted at in issue 4.
Mm-hmm.
And they make a point that basically RC and Greenlight are inseparable. So I suspect they are the lesbians.
It's not Ironhide and Optimus.
Why not?
As a big swing.
That would be. See, I could never. That would be a one-night stand. That would be a one-night stand.
I can't quit you, Pram.
They can't look at each other in the morning. Ironhide just wakes up and he tries to say something, or Optimus just go.
Prime would be, this was just business. Ironhide would be all about the commitment. Prime would be like, nah, I needed the release. You did it, big boy. Slaps him on the ass and tells him to fuck off. That'd be amazing.
I don't make love, Ironhide. I fuck.
I was thinking I dominate, and then he pulls out the Autobot flag.
Oh God. I'm thinking two very different possibilities with that. I won't lie. But yeah, so basically she's going to have two mentors because of RC and Greenlight being together. And Rubble's like, if your mentor's good enough, one's enough. And Bumblebee's like, excellent, sucking up. And yeah, and I was like, what did you think of me the first time you saw me? Well, you were very yellow.
He's not wrong.
I mean, you are very yellow.
He's not wrong.
Yeah. And just like, either your sense of humor is coming along, or we have to work on this whole relationship thing.
I didn't even understand that, because Rubble basically says that it was all a bit of a blur and he didn't know what the fuck was going on. So of course the only thing he'd think about Bumblebee was he was yellow.
Bumblebee's like, you're being a dick.
Tell me I was good.
Just born.
Praise me.
Yeah. Speaking of praise me, we have Reversionists who are praising Primus and how great he is. And yeah, then we then cut to they're discussing the where Cybertrons have come from and the Birds of Spark. And then we come into a fight between what seems to be a Rise member and an Incentacon member. And yeah, they're having a shoving match. They nearly knock into Rubble. Bumblebee takes them both out and basically tells them all to grow the fuck up. And before another fight can kick off, Prowl and Barricade show up. Call it to an end. And Prowl decides he's going to tell Bumblebee off for not letting someone land on Rubble. And he's like, we're all tense. I'm tense. You're tense. We're policing a forging because no one knows what might happen. And we also, like, around here find out that it's a bit of a weird coincidence that Brainstorm gets murdered and suddenly there's a brand new forging out of nowhere. It's almost like they were trying to make a political statement. Which is interesting because that means they could literally make new Cybertronians anytime they wanted.
Wasn't the reason that they didn't, like, the amount of resources they have?
Yeah.
Is that the reason? So
yeah, Nominus Edict.
Yeah,
which we still know very little about.
So theoretically, they could fart them out if, I don't know, a war effort was needed.
Rubble offers to help look for the Void that went missing. Prowl just like, no, shut up, go home. And Bumblebee defends him, and yeah, Prowl and Barricade bond over their massive man boobs. Yeah, so they have to head back to their quarters. We see a guy who seems to be selling something alive to Cybertronians.
You want to buy some organics, man? I got some good organics, man. Because he's not a Cybertronian either. He's got like an alien look to him. Is he a Cybertronian, do we think? Like, does he live on Cybertron, or is he just a trader from space?
But if that's the case, this guy looks super shady. So do the guys buying from him. Why would one of the most important, famous people on the planet be given a house near this?
Oh, you know.
Rebel, we love you, but there's a new person.
He's got to get some fucking plants, man.
Yeah.
Get the next hit of green.
But yeah, Bumblebee drops Rebel off and says he's going to go to kind of a memorial for Brainstorm. And yeah, it's been a weird couple of days. Don't worry, but yeah. And we cut to the funeral, which includes Bumblebee's not taking it well.
No.
But yeah, Chromia. We see Chromia. We see Orion. We see Megatron and Soundwave. Megatron looks more scratched up in this picture.
Yeah. I think it's just the way that the artist decided to draw him here. For
and then reason. We cut to the funeral, where a woman with big wings is giving the ceremony, and apparently she's a reversionist, which Brainstorm would not have liked. And Orion says that he tried to stop this, but they were very insistent. Yeah, he's saying, like, basically, we don't want to antagonize anyone at the moment. Like, if we do, they'll probably all line up with the Decepticons. I lost an argument. Like, he tried to talk him out of the forging as well. He thought it was too quick and too obviously calculated. And yeah, Orion is feeling kind of cut off from things. During the ceremony, Orion asked what would Thermagax think of Megatron using the Decepticon ideas. Yeah, Megatron just like, do you want me to say violence is bad? Again? Because I'll say violence is bad.
Again.
Again. And it's like, listen, they're taking some of our ideas, but it's not our fault that the Rise are assholes. Like, and yeah, and then Orion says maybe Tergamax could come out and say something and we could all get along. Maybe she condemned violence, militancy, rabble rousing. Like, I feel like there was a very pointed look at Megatron. Rabble rousing, Megs. And it turns out she's gone into seclusion because of what she believes, not because of some passing fancy. Basically, he's not asking her. Ironhide speaks up and says maybe she's ashamed of what people are doing with her legacy. Megatron makes a move that looks like he would very, very much have put Ironhide through the wall. Except Orion puts a hand in him, and we just see here. Basically, Megatron, who is the man of the people, of course, remember, pulls rank, of all things. That basically says, you are a little man and I am a big man. And we let you have a little too much leeway, but that's fine. Remember who you are and where you belong, broadly speaking. And then he tells them both off for talking politics at a funeral. Orion has a hand on Ironhide and is giving him a bit of a dirty look. And Brainstorm is sent off to wherever the hell people go when they die in Cybertron.
Go to the light.
Go to the light. And the only people around him are people we know and Ratchet.
Yay!
Like, the only people invited to Brainstorm's funeral were the characters we already met and Ratchet.
Well, it did show more in the previous panel, but they were kind of covered in shade.
Yeah, I would have, like, Chrome Dome or something in there. I think I see Wheeljack. Yeah, I see Wheeljack. Oh, not Menace or Motormaster's there. Anyone else? RC is there. Is that Magnus?
I doubt it.
I'd swear. No, like the inner Magnus robot. I'd swear that. No, that's an Orion body with a Megatron head. That's very lazy. And that's the issue. So again, Andy, we start with the art. What do you think?
Up and down in places. There were some nice panels, and then there's some bad ones. I'll go with the overall. I like the last few kind of funeral stuff, but there was a few drops here and there. The crowd scene was not very well done. As detail was completely lost, and Prime looks very broad-shouldered, shall we say. Unfortunately, I was not a big fan of how whichever artist it was, I haven't really looked, did foreheads. Ironhide has a massive forehead, as does Megatron. Like in profile, the few times you see Megatron in profile, his head design just looks, his entire head design just looks a bit weird.
That was Andrew, I believe. Yeah, like It's not necessarily it's the chin that's getting me on that. It's quite angular and pointy.
I think for me, it's the chin and then the eyebrows piece, and then the you want to call it the forehead piece as well, because the chin goes diagonally down one direction, and then the bottom point of the forehead piece goes up at the opposite direction. So it's almost got this crescent moon shape to his face from profile.
Yeah,
which,
is that the art or the design though?
I mean, yes, it could be one or it could be both. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Either way, it's something I'm not a fan of. I don't think it has that. It reminds me more of at least in profile. Do you remember the Ladybug Megatron?
Yeah.
It reminds me more of that than oddly enough, a classic G1 Megatron, which is what I thought we were kind of aiming for. At least that's what the original toy was aiming for.
Oh, Siege has a bit of an odd head.
It does, but it doesn't have that look to it exactly.
No.
It's weird. It's odd. And like I say, the Ironhide Mohawk is a little bit big. His head, his face looks quite tiny inside his, I guess, like Frohawk Captain Marvel design.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a big fan of that. I really liked the panel before that. I thought that was really nice.
Which one's that?
The RC Prime, Megatron and Soundwave, and then Bumblebee with his face in his hands. I thought that was quite nice.
I think that was Hernandez.
Yeah. Well, it can't be.
1, 2. Yeah, because Andrew only did 3 or 4 pages, and 4 pages.
It doesn't look anything like his other stuff for the most part.
Might be Andrew. It's just I'd say it's not. Yeah, I'd say it's not Andrew just because of Ironhide and Megatron's faces in that one. That does not look like he drew those. And the next pages, especially Optimus, those are very, 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 very Andrew takes.
Yeah.
Optimus is basically just the same head design he had back in the day.
Yeah, that's true.
Andrew has a very distinct take on Optimus's sort of look.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Andrew did the pages from Optimus and Ironhide and Megatron having the fight to the last pages. That was Andrew. And Angel was the middle section entirely, and then Sarah was the Cyclonus scene.
Right. The start of the comic, obviously, the Sarah stuff was good. I'm still not a big fan of having to go off toy model or on toy model, but I think Sarah was able to execute it quite successfully. Apart from Chromia looks a bit strange proportionally.
Yeah, I think she does it the best out of them so far.
I agree.
Particularly with Cyclonus, because considering the dynamic action scenes he's in this one, and this is one of the rare bits of action in the book so far, that is not an easy design to make look dynamic.
No.
And I think she did a good job. And I do really, really like those last couple of panels that she did with Cyclonus. And I don't know. I like Andrew's stuff in general. Megatron and Ironhide are a little weird, but I really feel that's more down to the designs they were using.
It very well could be.
Especially considering how tight the editorial seems to be on keeping to those designs.
Yeah. Well,
because if you look at the page before with the funeral scene, and Ironhide has a huge forehead.
That's the one I mean. It's really bizarre.
Yeah. But I think Andrew works with what he's got, but I think in general, I don't want to be that guy, but it's kind of nice having people on this book who know how to approach these characters again.
Yeah.
Which feels meaner than I want it to sound.
I know where you're coming from. It's not coming from a place of, outright harshness. It's almost a statement of fact.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the story? So, I'll go first on this one, I think.
Okay.
So this is basically 3 scenes. I liked the first scene. I liked the last scene. The middle scene felt like mostly filler. It didn't have that world building effect that that you could at least say was the other stuff that we'd gotten before. That seemed to have overly long scenes. Rubble is still relatively poorly defined.
He's still meant to be as I feel. Yeah,
which is weird to me because Rubble's gotten the most page count out of everyone, really.
Yeah, and it still hasn't really developed any kind of personality, which is really
and it's Rubble is easily distracted.
Yeah.
And Bumblebee, basically these pages are Bumblebee explaining things to Rubble again. But I like the Cyclonus stuff. That's intriguing. I want to see more of what's going on in his head. what happened with those 4 dead people. I'm going to be disappointed when like Sarah's not doing the next issue and someone else draws it, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is very wibbly wobbly. I also kind of like the idea that people see Cyclone. It's just like, I'm not fighting him, you fight him. But yeah, I'm sure like the lack of tailgate, I'm sure pissed someone off in the world, but hey ho. The funeral thing, if it wasn't for the Megatron Ironhide thing, it wouldn't have done much for me, but I find it interesting that Megatron, of all people, is basically pulling an elitist, classist approach on Ironhide.
Yeah, it is. That is different from the Megatron that we knew from IDW.
And it's like it's a layer like maybe he's a lot less of the people than he lets on.
Yeah, kind of showing the tyrant underneath the politician.
Like he's going to say, well, we're all going to be equal, but I'm going to be more equal than the rest of you. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you think of the story for this one?
Again, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I suppose the start was a bit more interesting because it felt like finally we're doing something, even though we've just finally had a little thread with the whole, I guess, ghosts that only Cyclonus can probably see. That's the implication, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming that he's having a psychotic episode and not like he's actually got invisible people with him.
Oh, see, I took the fact that he can see the invisible people.
Oh, right.
Like, he can see ghosts, and that's why he lives outside in the world, because the city's too full of ghosts.
Oh, that would be kind of interesting.
I could be wrong, but I think that would, again, be a bit more... That could be, like, interesting character stuff for the Cyclonus. But this, there's nothing really to back that up just yet. Oh, you could be right, or it could just be he's having a psychotic break, and that's how he deals with it. So that has the most potential of doing some interesting stuff. Like you, the more rubble just means more... It's like we get to see how a Cybertronian's born, and it's almost kind of boring. Assuming that all that happens is they just walk out.
They just walk out.
A door opens and they walk out. Yeah,
it's like a reality TV show. She'll go in one door and come out the other.
His big brother, yeah. You've been evicted from the Great Allspark. I think that was there really to show that the rising tensions between the two factions yet again, and it's like, well, we already know that they're kind of building, so it is just more of Rubble just wanting to help, and also weird plant dealer. Nothing really struck me too much. I suppose this has the most things happen, oddly enough, compared to the other 3 issues we've had.
Yeah,
is that fair? Because we usually get one thing or sometimes nothing. Here we get like at least 2 bits where stuff seems to be happening.
It's probably got the least number of scenes, but they are probably the most eventful scenes.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will say, like, what about the Resentacon rally where someone attacked Megatron? And I'll be like, that wasn't eventful.
And that was really brushed off quickly.
Yeah, that was just like, someone attacked Megatron, and they're alive.
Yeah.
How do they know how strong Megatron is if this is a peaceful world?
Yeah, the fact that they got away... and there wasn't. That's where you could have had an action scene, right? You could have had like, Megatron chasing them or something.
I mean, I think I said this before, but my suspicion is Megatron is setting this up so he can't really go murder a guy.
Yeah, totally.
He's just like, excellent, you've done well. Gotta die now.
Well, to be fair, he totally could if only those 2 knew about it.
Yeah, just like maybe it would be kind of interesting if Megatron had like proper zealots at this stage.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anything else you want to say?
I don't think so. I unfortunately, like, I really struggled to find things to talk about with this comic at the moment.
It's so decompressed.
Yeah.
Like people, like it's not suffering the kind of decompression you had in the ongoing.
Oh, thank
where
God.
You had remember that one page with Optimus and Spike looking at each other for the entire page with like 4 word bubbles.
Oddly enough, luckily I don't remember that.
I do.
It's been so long.
On Optimus's dead murder eyes, that when Don Figueroa was drawing them with the tiny pupils, and it was like, Sam.
Oh.
No, my name's Spike. Sam.
Oh, was this the beginning of the ongoing series where they all had skeletal features?
Yeah.
Yeah, nightmarish. Yeah, I remember that stuff, unfortunately.
It's inspired by the Marvels.
Oh, yeah, that's where you want to go from. Woof.
But yeah, in that case, Andy, I'll ask you for a rating because I've got nothing really to add.
I would probably put this a little bit higher than before, so probably a 5. I'm gonna say it was okay. It was fine. It's still not amazing, but at least it was a little bit better than the last issue.
I'd stick with my 5. It's weird because I think the writing is better than a 5. I think the individual stuff being written here is better than the ratings I'm giving it in terms of the quality of writing. Because it's not like I'm saying the guy doesn't know what he's doing, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Because usually a 5 is saying, like, clearly mistakes are being made at a core level. And they are. But those mistakes feel like structural mistakes, not conceptual mistakes. Like, I don't know. I'm still torn. I don't know what this book is leading to. It's still getting decent reviews from what I'm seeing, but I'm also seeing some people say, like, okay, 4 issues.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this bi-weekly? Are we doing this bi-weekly because if this was once a month, people would get pissed?
Oh my god, that would be insane if it was once a month. Holy crap.
In that case, we will bid farewell, children, to those of you who are cheapskates.
Woo! Jesus.
Guys, we're going to go on to the Patreon show. If you want to check it out, of course, you can give us $2 a month on Patreon, and you'll get that. You'll get interviews early. We've got one coming up with Brian Rutley himself in a few weeks, because he wants to do it after the first arc is over, because he wants to talk about stuff.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And yeah, you'll also get exclusive content and other wonderful stuffs. If you want to leave us any feedback, the address is moonbase2@gmail.com. You can send it on Twitter, Facebook. If you're on Patreon, you can leave us a message there. You can contact me on my Twitter at Irish Paleo. You can follow Moonbase2 at the Moonbase2 on Twitter. We've also got our YouTube, mine is UWolfie3. I said it already a few times, but check out my Avengers Endgame spoilery. Not so much a review, but thoughts. Andy, what about you?
Twitter CCTFW, YouTube Cobra Commander TFW, Moonbase2 channel is Moonbase2 Transformers Podcast, Twitter, iTunes, Libsyn, Facebook, and ccbunker.weebly.com as well. And then all the other bits that Mikey mentioned.
And beware the scary bear.
Woo! Always beware the bear.
Talk to you soon, guys.